Here is a little representation of rounds on 4 with the white stones representing first place. The rhythm we're usually aiming for is steady for the hand stroke and then backstroke, also steady, following immediately as in the next bell. And then there's a gap before the next hand stroke. The hand stroke gap. And this is a hand stroke. So this would sound like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can think of these coins as representing yourself in 4th place. From a hand stroke to the next backstroke, there are 3 bells that ring in between. From your backstroke to the next hand stroke, there are 4 bells. One of them is silent. You can see again from the backstroke, or rather from the hand stroke to the backstroke, that's 3 bells. So the backstrokes are a little bit closer to the previous hand stroke than to the next hand stroke. Now I want to talk a little bit about error correction when you're ringing in rounds. Here I have a representation of your strikes, with the white being hand strokes and the black being backstrokes. So you can see the backstrokes are slightly closer to the hand stroke before than to the hand stroke after. And here's the goal. It's basically steady with that slight earlier backstroke. Now, one of the hardest issues to solve in this is if you have only one of the strokes tending to be in the wrong place. So for example, something like this, where your hand strokes are good, but the backstrokes are a bit late. What tends to happen when we tell people to do backstrokes a little bit quicker is if you succeed, you bring the next hand stroke earlier with it. What we want, of course, is just the backstroke. I think it's quite difficult to actually shift just the backstroke. What you might actually need to think about doing is shift these earlier and delay the hand stroke. So what looks like just one change that you need to make is actually 2, because of course the 2 strokes are connected. Here I've tried to make a representation of ringing rounds on different numbers of bells, but with the same tenor bell. This should not be considered to scale or representative of any actual bells. It's more just to give an impression of the differences when you have the same weight of tenor, but you're ringing on a different number of bells. Especially if that tenor is on the heavy side, it's not gonna change speed very much for the different numbers of bells. So there will probably be a little bit of difference. When you're on 10 bells, the time from one bell to strike to that same bell striking again is slow. When you have fewer bells, they're a little bit closer together, but not very much. The other thing that changes is how close together the bells are. On 10, they're quite close together to fit them all into that slow span from one bell's strike to that same bell's next strike. On 8, because it hasn't compressed that much, they're a little bit more spaced out. And then 6, they can be more spaced out, and 4, even more. So as you have fewer bells, you ring at a slightly quicker pace as an individual ringer, but the bells are farther apart. So you would get the impression that the overall ringing is slower on fewer bells because the sort of bells per second, bells per minute is slower. But as an individual ringer, you're actually going a little bit faster.